As soon as you give me the word. Hey folks, I am Jon Najarian, and if you're wondering why I'm wearing my Bitcoin hat today, my camel Bitcoin hat, it's because BITO started trading today. It's trading 41.43. It's up a little over 2.2%. And it has traded a ton of volume, some of which would be expected. This is the first trading day that anybody could trade it, but it's traded 20 million shares worth today. So 20 million times roughly 41.4. We've traded $828 million worth of Bitcoin futures, because this is an ETF that is based on the CME futures for Bitcoin. We were going to cover it on halftime today, but we had so many great guests, we didn't get it all in. But this is an ETF that purchases those futures. Those futures at the CME, they settle into cash. They do not settle into Bitcoin. And so this is problematic on several fronts. Number one, you will have to continuously roll if you are ProShares, which brought out BITO. You will have to continuously roll, which will impact the returns. They also take nearly a 1% scalp from as a management fee for the fund. And I think that the market makers are chomping at the bit for these rolls, because yes, they have monthly Bitcoin futures over at the CME, and they go out a full 6 months into the future. But as these futures are purchased, you can see them, of course, when they are rolled. How can you see them? Well, because they can't really own two futures at the same time. They won't own, for instance, the near month and the next month out at the same time as far as one trade. Why is that? They'd be doubly long. They are not a 2x. They are a regular 1-to-1. We will own Bitcoin futures at the CME. So for every time they are liquidating the front and selling it, they are buying on the back. That slippage will have to be built in, and market makers will see that coming. They will lower bids in the front as they are hammered down, because that's what market makers do. They will see markets running to the upside, and they will pull back and wait for the highest price they can get. So there will be always a perpetual premium that is lost, not made, lost. And so I think that's something you want to concentrate on, folks. So that's just a little education quickly about those futures and the ETF that is based on those. Now, let's get into today's 3 at 3, of course, for the 19th of October. Unusual activity. Yes, we've got it. We are the guys that coined that phrase. We are the folks that use computer models to bring this up, not our based on our prejudices, not based on anything but just empirical evidence. That evidence being either unusual activity on the offer of purchase or on the bid being sold. We segment those out. We want to follow the unusual activity on the offer for calls or on the offer for puts, and we do that every day. So let's take a look at the first one today, DraftKings. There I was on the halftime report talking about DKNG, DraftKings. So let me see DKNG right now. That's when it was 49.19, up 54 cents. Here is when we saw it at 48.73, approximately where it is trading right now. And they were buying 8,500 of the 5th of November, 52 calls. So does that mean you should scramble in there and own those calls? No, but if you choose to, feel free. I instead would buy an at the money and sell those out of the money calls. How does that look? Well, something like this. So there's a look at the 5th of November, and there you see at the bottom of the screen the 52 calls, and you see they're trading for about $1.40, let's say. The 49 calls are trading for about, call it what, 264 is the last. So what I would do, folks, is I would buy the 49 calls and sell the 52 calls. How much money would I have to put up to do that? Well, if I pay 264 and I collect 140, I have basically put up $1.24. You guys know how that works. So if I'm doing that one-to-one, I have no additional upside risk, and I stand to turn that $3 spread, the differential between 49 and 52 is $3. I would have paid $1.24 for it. So obviously I could make a nice profit. Not quite a triple, but a very nice profit if stocks 52 or higher by the 5th of November. And I needn't hold the position, of course, all the way up until expiration, but I'm just kind of detailing for you how that works and how I have now addressed with such a trade volatility compression and time that would go by. If I address both of those with this spread, then I've moved the odds into my favor. On the halftime report today, when we had Brad Gerstner on, we were talking of altimeter, I believe. We were talking about Vegas, and he was talking about, oh, you know, this is even better than Vegas. And it's better than Vegas for several reasons, not the least of which is they don't throw you out of the casino for counting cards. So you can move the odds into your favor doing trades like this. It's up to you. It's your money. You decide how to do it. If you want to purchase those 52 calls naked, meaning just buy those and hold on to them, good for you. If I did that, I would set a stop loss at about 75 cents. If I draw down half of my capital in such a trade, I'd want to be out. Same thing here. If I'm putting on this spread for $1.24, if we get down to 65 cents, I'm going to cut my losses. But I do have a longer time than I would on just those outright out of the money calls. Now let's take a look at Apple, because this was just intense. They bought some 46,000 calls like that. Bought them quick. That's 4.6 million share equivalent. Apple 148.45. They're buying the 22nd of October 149 calls. So the weekly calls, this is not just an earnings play because earnings don't come out until the 28th of October. So let's say almost 2 weeks before they come out. So that's what we're looking for though, folks. Apple 148.45. They're buying the 149s. I like it. Here is what that looks like on our heat seeker. As you see here, Apple, top one on there, 150 calls, 184,000. These are the weekly Apple calls. 184,000. That's 18 million share equivalent at that 150 strike. And as you see, the open interest is 65,000. So this is triple the open interest. Those are opening new trades, folks. Then you look at the 148 calls, 124,000. 149 calls, 98,000. They've doubled up on the 46,000 that we talked about earlier. And the 147s. These are the most active. 147, 148, 149, 150. They go all the way up to the 155s. Now, we don't have earnings till the 28th, but nonetheless, love the activity and cited it on the halftime report today for unusual, because indeed it is unusual. That is some strong activity, my friends. All right, let's take a look lastly at the third of our 3 at 3, which is Tilray. Tilray, pot stock, TLRY, was one of the high flyers years ago. Stock was 1045 when we saw it this morning and put it up for unusual activity. They bought 5,600 of next week expiration, 1050 calls for 28 cents. How they doing on that trade? Well, if you were like us and you jumped on this trade, those calls are already over $1. So you've tripled your money. Paid 28, they're trading over $1. Stock's trading 11.35 right now. Bam! Nearly $1 higher on the stock side, but the options, let's say you paid even 40 cents. They're more than double that because they're not 80 cents. They're pushing over $1 right now. So you doubled your money and then some in this one. Tilray, TLRY. And again, they were buying the 29th of October next week, 1050 calls. Bang! That's what we like to see, my friends. All right. Let us get into some of your questions because many of you have questions. When you do, I try to provide answers. So let's do that right now. Send them in on Twitter at Jon Najarian. Even if you're not a subscriber, you can ask questions. If we see them, we'll put them up here. And JONNAJARIAN. Mr. Buffett, thank you, sir. Buffett, whose handle is at Stock Oracle, STOCKORACLE. When POTUS said build back better, who knew he meant ramping up coal production and use dramatically? Is he trying to do this to sway Senator Joe Manchin and West Virginia? I doubt it. I doubt it, Mr. Buffett, Oracle of Omaha that you are. But he is also citing this. Morning Brew said this morning, U.S. coal-fired output is on track to increase by 22%. Remember when everybody was giving the former president crap about talking about coal? Well, coal's made a pretty massive return, and it's been a great return for those of us who have owned coal stocks like BHP, like CEIX. It's been a great year for those stocks as energy prices have just skyrocketed. Some would say because of some of the restrictions on the Excel pipeline, on fracking and production on government land, whatever, pick your poison, folks. Prices for energy have gone through the roof. And Mr. Putin said today that although he's going to supply Western Europe with all of the natural gas they want, he is not going to cut any prices. So that is further putting pressure on. They're looking for anything they can get as well. So I don't know that it opens up the coal mines in Newcastle in the UK, but I do think that we're going to see higher prices hold until we see a break in crude oil, diesel, which is fuel oil for those on the East Coast, of course. And the more we see that, the more we see TAN, which was up 5% today. TAN is an ETF for solar and so forth. Any alternative to crude oil or coal, including wind, solar, geothermal, and so forth, is going to get bid. That's just a fact. Now let's go over to Obai AIG Hamdi, and his handle is ENG_OBAI. Jon Najarian 3 at 3, CCL. Tempting? Yes. And we have had unusual activity in CCL. We've also just today had unusual activity in NCLH. NCLH, I think I saw that this morning. That is, yep, we did. We had it this morning. 05 November 2750 calls. That was with the stock at 2587. So that's Norwegian Cruise Line, CCL, which is Carnival Cruise Line. When was the last time we had that hit? Last week, the 12th. So we're here. It was a week ago. They were buying in there, upside calls all the way out in June. So yes, we have had unusual option activity. Tempting? Yep. tempting. People that are addicted to cruising, of which I am not one. I like being on boats, but I don't necessarily like a huge crowd. And it has nothing to do with COVID. It's just, I'd rather be on a smaller boat. Anyway, for those that are addicted to cruising, they can't wait to get back on the water. So that's my answer, sir. Don't miss our live stream, because those of you who are watching this are seeing it because you are a subscriber to one of our many products for unusual option activity. As long as you're a subscriber to any one of those products, you get this live. If you are not a subscriber, then you get it the next, after the market closes. So if you want actionable information, you've got to be a subscriber. So you get that. You get weekly trade ideas, live webinars, trading community. You get all of that. Go to marketrebellion.com/UOA live. That's marketrebellion.com/UOA live. You can also dial up the number there, 888-809-8058. That's 888-809-8058. Thank you. For those of you who aren't subscribers, you should join. For those of you who are, thank you for your faith and trust. Be sure to join us tomorrow. For any of our other products, go to marketrebellion.com/get started. I'll see you tomorrow, folks. Bang.